A warm welcome back to the Forensic Detailing channel. Do not forget to subscribe. Now we're geared up to do our rinseless wash best of style video. Now I believe this is going to be my final lineup, and let's just run through that final lineup first of all, and I want to get your opinion on the lineups. Now this lineup really has been created through a discussion on my Patreon page, a chat that I opened on the rinseless wash comparisons, and trying to also get all the products in that I think have a name or a known or are offering something, you know. So hopefully it's a good lineup, and there's a lot of American products in here because I think the American kind of pioneered more the use of rinseless wash concentrates through O&R, you know, back in the day when that kind of reigned supreme. But now lots of detailing brands are realising they need to have an offering in this category, and there's a lot more choice. So soon to be released to the UK market is the Koch Rapid Rinseless Wash. We've got the Auto Glim Refresh. We've got the Wolfgang Uber. We've got the Armour Hero. We've got soon to be released to the UK Carbon Collective Evolve Rinseless. We've got the DIY Detail. This is the latest version. I've been waiting for this to come through. So this, I think it's V2 or whatever. It's the latest version as far as I know. We've got P&S Absolute. We've got FaneLab Rinseless V3. Lots of them have got different versions and stuff, which can make this a little bit confusing. We've got the new to the market Geon Eco Wash. We've got McKee's N914 V2 that's just been released as well. And we've got Optimum No Rinse Revision 5, which I assume is the latest revision. You guys tell me if there's any revision things. Someone mentioned there's a new version of this on its way, but there's so many revision tweaks being done, it's impossible. You have to sort of go for it at some point. And we've got this Hydro Save here. I'll come back to that, but I might not be including that in the test for a reason I'll go through with you. Now, before I start testing, what I need to do is always just go through and do the price that I paid for all of these products, and then write down how much liquid, you know, what's the volume that I'm buying here, so that I can then do a cost per litre based on nearest litre retail sized offering. That's the first dilemma. Nearest to a litre retail size offerings. Most of these do a litre, some of them don't. When you have to scale up 500ml to a litre, it creates a disadvantage. But then if I did it on 500ml offerings, the ones that come in a litre only, then are still at an advantage because they get scaled down, but they're giving you a price per litre, you understand. If I did them all at bulk price, like 5 litres, well, some of them don't have bulks, so you can only get them in these bottles. So I think going through my head and doing these tests before, nearest to a litre retail priced offering is the only way to do this, really. And obviously we'll go down to cost per wash as well, but we start with our price. I need to find out what the price for the Carbon Collective is at the moment. I don't know. Hopefully Imran can tell me that, or if anyone knows Carbon Collective, I might ping Carbon Collective if Imran doesn't know, but Imran will be able to find out. So I've got to work that out, and Koch as well, because it's not released. So I've just pinged Slims an email, they're the distributor, and hopefully they can tell me how much it's going to cost. So once we work out how much it costs per how much volume, we then translate that into a price per litre of liquid. Okay, and you can see the big variance here straight away. Something like Optimum No Rinse, £23.20 per litre. That's one of the cheapest in the test, actually, cost-wise. Actually, the P&S looks like it's the cheapest, which is crazy for an American brand that has to be imported and have those costs to bring that over here, which we've talked about before. And I've often said, well, you know, I sympathise, the price goes up when you have to bring it over here. But P&S seem to be able to do quite well on the price in the UK for some reason, you know, with the increased of costs of getting it here. So it's not always a factor. I don't know how they've managed that, but that's fantastic. But of course, this price, and Geon it's £22 for a litre. They do it in 500ml and a litre, and it's 22 quid for a litre. So that's a good price. But you have to factor in that usage ratio, which is the next thing I've done here. And you can look through. Most of these come out as 1 to 256. That seems to be the magic concentration for most of these, but not all of them. So this is all preliminary, this data. So if you do see anything wrong with any of the data, just correct me if I'm wrong. This is a 1 to 256. The Auto Glim is around 1 to 200. I had to calculate that because it says 5 capfuls for 10 litre. A capful is actually 10 mil. I measured it. When I did the review of it, I calculated it. I just guessed it at about 5 mil and said, oh, well, it costs about this much. That was poor because I should have measured it. So it's 10 mil per capful. 5 capfuls equals 50 mil. 50 mil within 10 litres of water creates a usage ratio of 1 to 200, if I'm correct. So that's around a 1 to 200. 50 to 10,000. Yeah, so you divide 10,000 by 50 to get 200, yeah. Okay, Wolfgang Uber, that has a really high concentration ratio, 1 ounce to 3 US gallons. So you've got to do some crazy conversion of 28 mil, which is an ounce, to 3 US gallons, which is about 11 point something, 11.356. So it works out about 1 to 400. So that's got a very high, so it's a high chemical cost, but then the usage ratio might almost be double. So that might come in as one of the cheaper ones. That's the next calculation I've got to do. Armour Hero, that's bulk standard 1 to 256. Price per litre is very high, so that's probably going to be higher up in the price bracket when we do that cost per wash calculation. And we'll calculate that cost per wash based on using 15 litres in a bucket, which you don't have to do. You know, I think a sensible amount might be 10 litres for a rinseless wash, or 7 litres, or I've even done it 5 litres in a smaller bucket if the car's relatively clean. But we'll do 15 litres so we can compare cost per wash historically with like the ceramic shampoos we did and all that sort of stuff. And as long as it's the same standard for all of them, it gives us a price comparison on cost per wash, which is roughly accurate. So Armour Hero. Carbon Collective is the most concentrated in this test at 1 to 480, which breaks all of the rules on concentration. 25 mil to 12 litres. So you divide 12,000 by 25 and you should get 480. Pull me up and check all this data for me. Check it all for me if any of it's out. Next is the DIY detail, which again is only available in that 473 offering. So it's going to be priced a bit higher than the others, and it's not going to be able to claw it back much. There's a couple that are slightly lower concentration. It says to use, I think it's a 1 to 256, but if you go on the bottle, it's 1 ounce to 2 gallons of water. 1 ounce is around 28.413 mil, and 2 gallons I think is around 7,571 millilitres. So you divide 7571 by 28,413 and you get 266. So it's near. Just correct me if I'm wrong on that. Some of the other ones say, you know, the same thing. I'll use 1 ounce to 2 gallons, but then they put in brackets 1 to 256. P&S is an example of that. But they contradict each other because they're not exactly the same. 1 ounce to 2 gallons is actually around 266 from the calculations I've done. So I put for DIY detail 1 to 266 because that's what it says. Whereas that they put in brackets 1 to 256, although they do mention 1 to 2 ounces. Don't know. What do you think on that? It's not going to make too much difference. In fact, it favours the DIY detail slightly because when I do the calculation on cost per wash, that's a higher ratio, isn't it? So it's beneficial. Fan Lab, good price for a litre, around $22.95, and 1 to 250. So that would do pretty well on price. Gion, very good price for a litre, 22. It's the second cheapest, I think, but it's a slightly low ratio, 1 to 184. So I think this will still do well on price, but it won't be the cheapest overall. But like I say, it will probably be above average price value for money. McKee's, That will come out decent. That'll be similar to the Geon, won't it? Because it's slightly more concentration. And Optimum No Rinse, actually pretty good. That will come out well in the value for money. But we can see already P&S will probably be the most cost effective. Really interested to find out the data on Koch and Carbon Collective, because these both come in a litre, and that could be very cheap. If they get that price down, and that price is around 20 to 25 quid, then that's going to be hands down the cheapest. Which isn't everything, is it? But it's an important part of the test. Koch could be in with a shout if they get their price at around 20 quid. They tend to be good value, don't they, Koch? They don't tend to overcook the price. So interesting on the price, isn't it? Yeah, so far that's what I've been doing. And I've just been making some notes, so I've got to get the price for this. Yeah, I've just got a query on this one, really. One thing that I really want to know with a waterless wash is, does it leave anything behind? And really, for me, I think I don't want them to. I want them like a soap. I want to use a soap to clean the car and then rinse the soap off. With a rinseless wash, I want to use the rinseless wash solution to wash the surface, and then when I wipe over it with a towel, I want it to leave nothing behind, ideally. Certainly nothing that sticks, no bonding chemical or wax or anything like that, because if I want to use them to prep a car, people might want to use them for prepper cars. So lots of people in America or hot areas that use these because of water restrictions, or they just like them. But if you're going to use it to prep a car, you can't use a waterless wash that's going to leave waxes or sealants on the car, because you don't want to prep a car and cover it with a fresh layer of material that you've got to then hack through when you're polishing or claying or whatever. That's not how you do it. It's like if you were prep washing a car, you wouldn't use a ceramic shampoo, would you? So I think there's a little bit of ambiguity in the thing here, with the instructions here. Cleaning, care and preservation of exterior vehicle surfaces. Well, cleaning, care and preservation, that implies that there's something being left behind to preserve the finish. Maybe the high quality care components produce a particularly smooth finish. Previous applied polish and waxes are retained. Okay, how can it leave a smooth finish if it's not leaving something behind? If it's not leaving anything behind, it can't alter the slickness or the gloss. Can it? No, logically. Let me know your thoughts on this. This is all the early days of stuff churning through my head. Is that just marketing stuff? It leaves a smooth finish. I don't know. Auto Glim. I haven't got much questions about this. I just wrote price variance, which just created me a little bit of problem when I'm trying to calculate the price. The prices for the Auto Glim products always vary a lot. Auto Glim sell all their stuff on their website, and they don't undercut the people that sell their products. You know, so you can find it on Amazon for a lot less. Even in Halfords, it was cheaper. So I thought I'd go with the Halfords price, which was £15.52 for that bottle. It's £17.99 on the Auto Glim site. So I wasn't sure. And you can get it for up to 12 quid, even cheaper sometimes. So I figured that the Halfords price was a good representation of what it really should be. But that could be higher cost if I went with the Auto Glim price. So let me know what you think about that. That caused me a bit of a thing. So that's my price variation. Capful issue again. It's the only brand, I think, here that doesn't give me a workable ratio. I think it's the only one. Don't quote me on that. But I think it's the only one that doesn't give me use X amount of product to Y amount of liquid, whether it's in fluid jibber jabbers or a ratio. That's the only one that I had to go and measure out the capfuls to then calculate it. I never like doing that because it just muddies the water for me on a very basic piece of information that I want to know from the product, and that's the usage ratio. And it's very important with these rinseless washes to get that right. Yeah, so there we go with that. Wolfgang, the only little mark here I've put is around availability, because it wasn't available to buy. It was out of stock. Lintex sent me this one, and the information I've got from about 2 or 3 months ago. It was on order, so it should be coming back in stock in the UK, hopefully very soon. But I need to confirm that, because you imagine if this wins and you can't buy it. That's a problem, you know. It's a big problem, isn't it? So I just need to make sure that availability is sorted out. I'll keep an eye out for that. Armour Hero. Just again, I made a note on the font size because it's got tiny writing again, which seems, you know, there's a bit of a problem, I think, with the Armour products and the size of their font. They're really small, hard to read. You can see it from there, can't you? You know, it's very hard to read. They've all quite small fonts, but that is another level of tiny. Version number, but I'm just going to go with this version. I have to now, really. I have to. I don't know how long it's going to take, or I don't even know if there is a new version coming. Carbon Collective, I need to find the price and when it's going to go live and all that sort of stuff. DIY Detail, I've mentioned earlier on, it just comes out as 1 to 666 when you do the maths, if I'm correct. No big deal, but I wasn't sure whether I should put it as 1 to 256 or 1 to 266. I have to go with the label, so I'll go with 1 to 266. Let me know your thoughts. P&S Absolute, I just had a little query. Enhances gloss and slickness. Well, again, if it enhances gloss and slickness, then it must be leaving material on the paintwork. Is it material which doesn't bond and it just leaves a layer of something that shines and will just wash off next time and it's not of any consequence? So you could still use it as a clay lube, you could still use it as that. But when it just says that, enhances gloss and slickness, it raises that question in my head. Does it matter? Does it really matter? Is that just marketing stuff, you know, because they want to get in there, your gloss and slickness thing? I don't know. Or does it have bonding material? Because really, with a Rinseless, I don't want it to do that. Yeah, we'll go through all of this stuff. It's got softeners in it, which I like. Purely clean surface. So it says on it, the end result is a purely clean and slick surface. Well, if it's created slickness, it can't be purely clean. Purely clean means a surface has got nothing on it, doesn't it? A clean surface is just the surface, no contamination, no dirt, that's it. Whereas if it's got a layer of material over it, is it a clean surface? I don't know. Am I overthinking it? Don't know. It's early days, so we just sort of think about these things. Pure Rinseless V3. What did I put here? Oh yeah, so I couldn't find much wrong with this apart from the instructions, and I'll go through and pull these instructions apart from all of the brands later on. You have to use it with a 2-bucket wash system or you're not following the instructions. You see that? Dilute 1 to 250 in a bucket of water to create the Rinseless solution. Prepare a second bucket of clean water. So you do the clean and you dip your mitt out in the clean one. Do you have to do that? Well, you're not following the instructions if you don't. So from a testing point of view, I probably need to use 2 buckets with this. So there we go. I don't know why the dog's going nuts. Geon Eco Wash. Again, same as P&S. Slick, glossy, enhanced, I think it says on the finish. So SiO2 infused Rinseless. So we've got some tech in here. Some SiO2 tech. Rinseless and waterless wash. You know, similar sort of thing. You'll know the difference between the two. Great as a drying aid or anti-static wipe. Leaves a slick, glossy and enhanced finish. So is that leaving SiO2 material on the surface? Is it bonding? Is it more a wash and a sealant because of that? Is that more a wash and a sealant? Is anyone that says it leaves some slickness, then it has to be a wash and a wax or a wash and a sealant? So yeah, that's going through my mind. I'm going to go, that dog. It bloody dog. Right. This one, this McKee's, there's something really good here, but just something I picked up on, creates a protective layer of lubrication. So a protective layer. It must, to have a protective layer, it implies that it's putting something down, doesn't it? or is it the surfactant that's providing this protective layer? But later on, it's very clear this concentrated formula does not contain any protective polymers. They should have used a different word up here, not protective layer. This creates a lubrication layer they should have put to remove that double use of the word protective. So this does not contain any protective polymers or glossing agents. It's a pure cleaner with nothing extra. That kind of answers the question. That's quite clear. I think they should have just been careful when they said protective layer. They should have called that lubricative layer, like I said. But I'm really glad that they put on there, this leaves nothing behind, because I'm looking for that. And I think they're the only ones to say it. And going over to O&R, Wash and Shine, this talks about super slick gloss and hydrophobicity down here. Superior slickness and gloss and hydrophobicity. Well, they've got to be talking about the finish there, haven't they? Slick. They're not talking about it leaves a glossy finish when it's wet. So they have to be talking about after you've washed your car, it leaves a slick, glossy, hydrophobic finish, which means that the product leaves something behind. So I want you to chirp in here and tell me, because some of you will chirp in and say, I thought a long time ago when I did the Optimum brand review, this is going back about 7 or 8 years, I thought it didn't leave anything behind. But how can it claim that gloss, slickness, hydrophobicity if it's not leaving anything behind? How can it do that? So it creates a lot of confusion for me. Now over to this one here, I'm thinking I'm going to drop this one from the test, but let me know your thoughts on it. I'm agnostic. I'm open to the possibility of not dropping it. I bought it because someone said Labo Cosmetica have got a rinseless wash. It's called HydroSave, and I thought, great, I'll have that in the test. That'll be, it's a good credible brand, isn't it? Different formulations, Italian, just good. And it said rinseless wash, but it's a rinseless wash with nano sealant in it. So I wish the product description was polymer-based rinseless wash and sealant, or wash and wax or whatever. This thing here is a sticker that's been stuck on. It's not quite in the middle either, to say it's infused with a nano sealant. So that didn't come with the original label, or that'd be printed on there. So I wonder if that was a sort of oversight and they've had to add that label to let people know. But I wish the product, because I probably wouldn't have bought it. I'm not going to send it back. I could always send it back. You have 14 days, don't you? And just say, look, I wanted a rinseless wash. I didn't realise, and get my money back. But I could also just do a separate video on this and just put it through its paces as what it is. But going through that lineup now, and some of the other ones are talking about slickness and gloss, I'm thinking, well, they must be leaving something behind. This is creating a real spanner in the works. So I'm thinking, well, maybe just include it. Maybe I should just include it and just tell people it's got the sealant in it. Make that clear. Discuss the issue that we've raised here about this. The problem with having a proper nano sealant in a rinseless wash is, like I said at the beginning, you want to use it as a clay lube. You don't want a sealant in there because you're trying to bare prep the car and get all the contamination off. You don't want to be applying sealant when you've got this liquid over the car. You're trying to prep wash a car. You don't want to be applying sealant, at the same time. Sometimes if you've got like a protection regime going and you're keeping an eye on that, like with this car, it's got, I think it's got bead coat on it. It has got bead coat on it, and that's it. And I'm maintaining it with slicker. And I've done waterless washes on this car. I don't want to interfere with my little protection regime and put another layer of material on there. And, I just don't want it. That's not what I want. So, but that comes down to a personal thing. So I don't know. Does that mean my personal bias and I just want a pure rinseless is counting against that product? I don't know. You tell me. Will it create any problems in testing? It might have an advantage by leaving something behind. I'm testing slickness, or lubricity. It might have an advantage because it's leaving something behind. I don't know. I'm not going to be gloss testing on these, I don't think. So, it could be interesting, actually. It's just raised the thought that they're claiming gloss, these products. some of them. So could I wash them off on a test panel and then measure gloss and see if the ones that claim gloss have got an increment in gloss over the ones that don't? Be testing the product claims, wouldn't it? But if we marked on it, some of the other products are saying, well, we're not leaving anything behind. You're penalising us on gloss, even though we don't want to leave anything behind to add it. Everything gets complicated. It's so complicated. I think you've got to kind of keep it simple. So this is the early days in the test where I'm going through that thought process in my head. You've got to keep it simple, or else you can just get lost in the complexity of all of this. There's even complexity when we're calculating that cost per wash and stuff, and you've got to do little conversions and try and do it in a fair way where you pick the size point. So yeah, lots of complexity. I really want to get your feedback, which is why we do this informal video right at this early stage before we really start going at these products, because there's no right or wrong, but hopefully you can give me some direction in what you think with some of the issues that we've discussed. I really think that not leaving anything behind statement is so powerful, and so I wanted it to be there as like someone that's really into detailing. That's an important keyword for me. Like, doesn't leave anything behind. Great, I want that. And only one of them tells me that. The rest, you could imply that they're not, but maybe that's unfair to these ones here. Who knows. There's some other little areas I'm interested in. Just making some notes. We'll measure them on versatility, because some of the products are quite good and versatile. So for example, if you look at this Carbon Collective one, it can be used as rinseless, glass and interior cleaner, great. Dust and water wipe rule, great. Panel wipe, I'm very interested in that, because I don't think these products are going to make good panel wipes. It's very low ratio as well. What's that? That's about 1 to 20, isn't it? 50 to 950. 1 to 20 is about 0.5. No, 1 to 10 is about 5% PIR, isn't it? Maybe it can work as a panel wipe. That's going to require us testing on polishing oils, I'd imagine. Doing some spraying of this onto polishing oil and seeing if we can see it dissolve or impact the polishing oils at all. Yeah. The dirt simulator will give us a good idea of, because that contains oils and it needs to be able to degrease. So if they can't degrease at all and touch my dirt simulator, they're not going to make a good panel wipe. They won't. It needs to be able to degrease to knock that down, as well as some other qualities. But degreasing is where it's at, the emulsification of oil to allow it to mix with water. You see it, that creaminess happening, and that layer of slime, almost the grease breaking down. I think these products, that's one of the things that I'm really, really interested in. Claims of using these as panel preps. Panel preps are usually, a form of solvent, alcohol solvent, some form of alcohol solvent or other hydrocarbons, different type of solvents. These aren't, as far as I know. Maybe they've got a little tiny bit of alcohol solvent in them as well. I don't know. I don't think they would, though. I think these would be more a certain type of surfactant, the amphoretic surfactant that suspends the dirt. So I'm interested. I'd love to know the chemistry of all of these. I'd love to know the raw materials, ingredients list, because it would make doing this a little bit more better. I'm also interested in the composition of what the actual chemical looks like, because this chemical here is like the Wolfgang's. It's almost like a milk, but it's got this kind of, it's kind of strange. I'd almost think it's like got an SiO2 quality to it, but I don't think it is SiO2. But it's got that feel to it, like it's got an SiO2 polymer in it, where you sort of see this weird thing going on. And then you've got a product like this. So most of the American ones have a bit of that milkiness to them. a little bit of it. But then you get one like this, which looks really, I know you can't really tell all this, but it's a really clear, looks quite surfactant-y and quite foamy sort of product. So, you know, there's a different chemical approach going on here with all of these. Some of them are scented. For example, the Autoglym one's got a really nice strong pineapple scent, I think. Some of them are, I think, unscented, like maybe the P&S. I haven't opened the Fan Lab yet. So do you want scents in them? My initial thoughts are a bit of scent is probably actually quite nice and adds to the user experience. Yeah, but we probably won't be marking on that, or if we do, if they stink, you know, we might do a tiny couple of consolation marks for a nice scent or something, so it's not overly important. I think what this is going to boil down to, guys, for me, it's going to be finding a product which offers good value for money. It doesn't have to be the cheapest, but as I always say, it's going to need to offer value, or else it's off to a terrible start, and it's got to try and claw its way back, and it could be hard to claw back in this test if they're all, because we're using all these products at tiny volumes compared to the amount of water that's there. It's hard to gauge the different impact of the chemicals. So cost is going to be something which is undebatable. Is that such a word? It's like, boom, there's your cost rankings, and it's like the one concrete foundation of which to start a test of. Cleaning power, if we can do that, that'd be good. User experience, quality of instructions. Ultimately, I'm looking for a product which gives me good value for money, but gives me a good user experience as well. Funny enough, you know, I'm quite excited with this, and I've got a little bit of a excitement thing going on with these rinselesses. They're quite handy to have, you know. They're not the answer to everything, as you've heard me say. And you're so much more reliant on contact with them in terms of when you clean, you're reliant on where you go and not missing bits and prodding the dirt out if necessary and getting it all out. Whereas the pressure washer just does that all rapidly, and, you know, loads of strong surfactant plastered all over the car has a really good cleaning effect. And it takes away a lot of the back-breaking work. But also, so as well as you being reliant on contacting all the areas to remove the dirt, you're also reliant on contacting all the areas to get the chemical off, okay? Which is important, because if you don't get it all off, what you tend to find is little blobs like that. Those blobs have come out of the seals and the seams. So that could be just, you know, probably more down to me. That's when I used the Wolfgang Uber. So I probably dried it off with the car or something, but I probably didn't blow it all off, so I didn't want to kick up all the dust. And then what you get is the water coming out when you drive and flying off things where it's stored, and little things like that you notice, you know, where I've got my little set piece with the pressure washer and the blower, you know, and that always gets me, you know, better results. So there is that these will never, for me, replace a proper, powerful pre-wash, jet wash, contact wash, rinse, towel dry, air dry, you know. Done. But sometimes, like I said, in the summer, I'm just in my garage and I think, the car, it was looking great 3 days ago. I'm not going to get all this gear out and bust myself, you know, going around cleaning it. I'm just going to fill the little bucket up with 5 litres of this and some cleaning solution and just wipe those dirty areas off, and then just towel the car very gently back to a nice finish. And that's where the Rinseless comes in really valuable for me, and as a clay lube as well. So they're worth having for that reason alone, especially in the summer, just get that dust layer off. Yeah, someone was saying something very interesting. I'll do probably another video on that. Could you just do it with water? A waterless water wash, or a rinseless water wash, where your liquid that you're putting on the car is just a bucket of water, and you're just going over very gently and then toweling very gently. I'm pretty sure you can do that without swirling up your car as well. But I'd probably rather, you know, it's getting too cynical if you want to use water instead of one of these. I would always use one of these rather than do that. But that's what someone was saying. Yes, you can still wash your car with just water. And if you're very gentle, you'd be all right. But you want something, a bit of surfactant there. It's like washing. Could you wash your plates with just hot water? You know, yes, you could, but you want a bit. You want something going on. So there's our introduction, guys. We'll be doing lots more on this. Let me know what else you think should be in here, lineup-wise. I can't really do more than 10. 10 was my kind of projected target, but then I thought we should get the armour in. Imran told me that the Carbon Collective was of interest for a few reasons, and it mainly looks like it's going to be around the concentration is the main thing. It's the most potent concentration-wise out of all of them. If the price is good on it, Carbon Collective is usually never the most expensive, but it's up in the higher ends. But I hope this comes in at a good price, because then the value will be really good for it. That's a good starting point, isn't it? So I hope you like the lineup. What else do you think would be in here? And maybe if this video is popular in a couple of years' time, we can go through and look at all the other ones. But you can see the problem. You start going beyond 10 and it becomes an absolute nightmare, especially when we get into the testing phase later on. So it's a good lineup. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments about all of your feedback and issues. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram as well if you want to see all the progress as we make this test happen. Which one's going to be the best? No idea. Not used, have used, not used, not used, not used, not used, not used, not used, have used the previous version, have used the previous version, not used. So we're going to start working our way through them, getting my car a little bit dirty. I'm driving it now, out in this, getting wintry, and putting these through to the test. You know, I will do individual videos on them as well, just demoing them, seeing my thoughts. And there we go. Stay tuned. And yeah, subscribe. Bye.